Okay, and as I promised, Richard Forster to be here, and I'll tell you, Richard Forster is one of the most dependable, no, I shouldn't say one of the most, you are the most dependable person that I know of for showing up. The only other person that I can depend on as much as you is Tommy Fox.
Well, I had to, I'm sorry for, apologize for being a little late. I had to leave a meeting that was set up by the California State Association of Counties President, Vito Chiesa from Stanislaus County, with the Department of Water Resources. So a pretty important meeting regarding groundwater, the structuring of the groundwater plans that are coming into force. And then they went into they had an individual there from the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, which, you know, it's hard to sit in these meetings as a area of origin county or a county that basically supplies water to the Delta. There were representatives in there from Tuolumne County too, Randy Hanvelt and Carl Rodefer from Tuolumne County Supervisors. Our interest lies mainly in the issues of our water being used to resolve the Delta issues. The Delta issues surrounding the resources there, the fish, the wildlife, the plants, and the seawater that intrudes up into the Delta and affects everyone. Now, the broader issue of the dual pipeline that's going to be going south, sure, that could have an effect on us because they might want to take more of our water. Phil Eisenberg, the chair of the Delta Commission, made a statement about 3 years ago in some of the initial meetings that if we need your water, we'll take it. Well, that didn't sit very well with us, you can imagine. Okay. And you know, where that concerns us is because I know we're going off agenda, but this is important stuff. Where it concerns us is that we are area of origin, we have water rights. Our water rights are pre-57 water rights that that's all the water we have for our constituents. Groundwater in our county, the Comanche area, needs a source of surface water, which the Water Agency is working with East Bay Mud on that issue. And we're involved in some of those discussions. But the surface water is all we have for our residents in our county. So it's very important when we hear a threat basically made that if we want your water, we'll take it. That just means litigation to us. Litigation is costly for everyone involved.
It would seem, Richard, when they're talking about like taking our water, it's really not a lot of water that we have allocated to us.
Well, and the way they look at it, some of the state people, is you have plenty of water to take care of you. You have an allocation of 20,000 acre feet. Water agencies only used, I think, about 7,000 acre foot of their 15,000 foot allocation, 15 acre foot, excuse me. Where that concerns us, though, is when I served on the Water Agency Board for 8 years, we always looked off into the future. You're looking not 20 years, 30 years, you're looking 50 to 80 years into the future as to how are we going to supply our residents with water, because we look at it that growth is going to occur naturally. We never brought growth into the discussion as far as we need this much water for this many houses. We looked at it as growth is going to occur naturally. It has all over the state for years, and I think it's a little less now, but over 500,000 people a year were moving into California. Now you might say, well, they're all going to Southern California. That's wrong. Sacramento right now has over 35,000 houses planned for the next 20 years, and they're all on the Highway 16 corridor. Rancho Murrieta alone has over 2,500 homes planned. I think they have 2,500 and then an additional development plan beyond that. So the houses are here.
Water as well.
Yeah, we're going to get our share of growth just naturally. It's going to happen. Sure, we want to do it correctly. We want to plan for it with our land use planning. But you need that water looking out. I don't want my great-great-grandchildren or great-great-grandchildren to want to live in Amador County and say we can't. There's not going to be another home built. Or there's not enough supply of water for the existing people. And the drought brings up the critical situation.
Well, it seemed too, Richard, that, you know, we had heard talk with the McCollum River at time of like saying that, you know, there wasn't enough water allocated up to District 5, I believe, right? And then in the upcountry, that there was possibilities they needed to ask for more water there.
Right. And I know Water Agency is negotiating with Jackson Valley Irrigation District, ongoing negotiations. I think there's 2,250 acre-feet allocated to JVID, Jackson Valley, but there's then some additional water that it's unclear who has the rights to those. So I think the Water Agency was making some efforts to firm up those water rights.
Also, it seems that there's difficulties in being able to store that water in times when you would need to store it.
Yeah, and eventually, conservation only goes so far, groundwater recharge only goes so far. What the gentleman who's deputy director from Water Resources was talking about this morning was the state bond that just passed, where there's a significant amount of money, I think about $2.7 billion allocated to storage. The problem is it's going to be first come, first serve. We don't have any projects in line. I don't think we'll have any projects in line for quite a while. Right now it's all looking at potential projects in Colusa County with a sites project, in Oroville with their dam, possibly raising that dam. There's other projects out there, but unless you are in line, and by in line, you have to have conceivably most of your planning done and your environmental work done and be ready to build. Some of those projects might get some money for planning, but we're not even close to that, and we don't need it, but we need to protect our supplies that we have right now. Back to the Bay Delta issue, the reason that concerns us, we don't want to end up in litigation. It's expensive. We'd rather have a partnership where if the Delta needs water, okay, DWR, Department of Water Resources, Bay Delta Conservation Plan Commission work with us to help us find a project to be built with East Bay Mud. They are a natural partner with the Amador Water Agency, with the other entities, as well as the environmental community. That is down the road, but if there's water that's needed, it's needed not only for people, but needed by the state rules, needed for the plants and
Right.
the environment.
Right. See, for agriculture and
Right.
animals, all of everything needs water.
Right.
So it is a big issue with everyone to have to solve. It seems like it's something you have to solve it, but it sounds to me like you're trying to say, but not politically expedient. Take the easiest road or whatever. Correct?
That's correct. Regional is what they want. Now, in our county, we do have a very good regional approach. The Water Agency primarily is the leader. Board of Supervisors handed over that responsibility to them, but we work with them on issues as well as we work with Jackson Valley Irrigation District. The deputy director from DWR recognized that at our meeting today, that we have a very good working relationship in our county, and we're working to resolve the issues we have. Primarily the groundwater issues right now are in the Comanche area more than any place else. Mm-hmm. The other issues with groundwater in our county are mostly individual wells that are having problems because of the drought.
Okay. Can we leave that there? We'll come back and talk more about that and maybe get on the agenda. I know you haven't had a chance to lok through it. I had a chance to look through some of it,
and that's part of the problem too. I've been gone for 5 days on CSAC and National Association of County Business.
That's what's really, I think, important for a lot of people to think and to know about. And those are heavy subjects. I mean, you have to do a lot of research and look into that if you're doing your job well.
Well, and our county is going to be required to come up with a groundwater management plan per state law. Every county has to come up with that. So our county is going to have to come up with that groundwater management plan. Some people say, well, you don't have much groundwater. Well, where we do have it, we're going to have to plan for it. Most of our county is fractured rock. We do get most of our water from surface water. But all we want is a recognition from the state that we don't want to be in a position where we have to litigate things in the future. Let's sit down and talk about these things before you make the bold statement, we're going to take your water if we need it.
Okay, well, I'd like to talk, but I digress. So let's move forward there, Richard.
Okay. Onto the agenda. First item up, this is going to be a gift from the Larry Sonato estate, the family estate, and it's Sonato family historical papers that will go to our archives. Everybody knows Larry Sonato. I mean, I still read the works, and had a lot of dealings with Larry when he was alive, all positive. Just a great person, and he knew more about this county, and he probably knew more about my family history because he dug into that a little bit than anyone else.
I know that, and I'd like to say, I have years and years of Let's Talks that Larry did with us, and I only have 2 of them on the website, so I'm looking forward to being able to get some time out and put those on YouTube, because that man covered a lot of history for us through some very important years, and it certainly was a lot of fun working with Larry.
Right, and well, we all miss him. He was a phenomenal person, individual in our county, and God rest his soul.
And like a lot of things, you really don't know sometimes how great a person was until they're gone.
Right, that is correct. Next item up, we have Victory Village. Jason Mulford will be in to talk about an approval, and this has to come from the Board of Supervisors. It's a certification of local approval. This is for an emergency solutions grant, and this will go specifically for homeless prevention. He'll use it at Victory Village. He's been doing a pretty good job up there with the individual veterans that are homeless. And I got to say, Mr. Mulford has really turned it around a little bit in my mind, and is working very cooperatively, and vice versa with Terry Sanders from our Veteran Service Office in Amador County. Terry Sanders does a phenomenal job increasing benefits for veterans, but now that we've kind of got the roles defined, I think working with Mr. Mulford has turned out to be very good. It's according to this, how many people will be served with 200,000. They're looking at serving at least 30 households, or a total of 80 people. So that's a good shot in the arm for our veterans in our community. We have a significant amount of veterans in Amador County, and not all of them are always doing well. Some of them have issues. I mean, every veteran now is rated when they come out as far as their disability rating. A lot of that has to do with PTSD and how that affects them, their mental condition, their state of mind. So any help we can give to our veterans.
Sometimes bothering people, certainly when they become homeless or get to that condition, and certainly the veterans, I believe, need help, and that's where they're working, and I'm glad the government is stepping up to the plate there.
And this grant, it'll look at some financial assistance for a monthly rent for up to 12 months, and that'll include security deposit, utility deposit, rent, and that rent could also be rent in arrears, which needs to be covered too, to keep them housed at their location. The other is just housing relocation and stabilization. So very worthwhile grant. I can't see our
also,
board,
it looks like you'd have to look into that to know more about that at the same time.
I can't see our board having an issue with it, but as you can see, it is a
I was
grant.
trying to find the end of it, and I'm going,
Well,
there's a lot of stuff.
It is a grant running through the state, so it's very intense, and because I've been gone, I haven't had a time to thoroughly review it. That'll be done before my board meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
Next up, we have our administrative agency. We'll look at an agreement for a regional sales use and transaction tax information services, and this is between the County of Amador and Hinder, Leiter, Delamas, and Associates, an adoption of the resolution authorizing examination of sales use and transaction tax records. What this is,
It looked interesting. What is it?
The City of Ione brought this issue forward, and it could apply to every city, and the study will probably be very thorough. This firm is like the letters you get in the mail that say, we have found money at the state that belongs to you. Sign here and we'll go after it, and they work on a contingency. I'm not sure if this firm's working on contingency. I kind of imagine they are. But City of Ione wants the examination done of all of the sales, use, and transaction tax records that the county conducts, with the, I don't know if it's an assumption, but with the theory that some of that may not have been correct.
Some of that falls through the cracks or something?
Well, some of the calculations or some of the designations of the money may not have, the allocations of the money may not have been correct.
Okay.
So this firm will come in and do the examination. Whatever they find will go back to the city. I would imagine there'll be some fees involved there too. But
Okay.
it's similar to, like I said, getting that letter in the mail saying, you have lost money, we're here to find it.
Okay, well, you know, that sounds like a pretty good deal if it works.
Well, the city of Ione, well, it's a pretty good deal for city of Ione if it works. County would have to give up some revenue and we'll be arguing some of those points, I'm sure, whether they're correct or incorrect.
So the idea might be that the county got the money. I assumed that it would be that the state never gave the county the money in the beginning, but
No,
I don't know anything about it yet.
I think the assumption is that the county gets lots of money. Does it calculate all of that correctly, what the cities are supposed to get, their percentage or their proportional amount that they're supposed to get? So this firm is hoping, and they're probably very good at what they do. I'm sure they know where to look, and our county does a pretty good job too, though. I mean, Mike Ryan, our tax collector, Joe Lowe, our auditor, they stay on top of these things, but that doesn't mean errors could.
We got 2 minutes. We're going to continue through the break that we had scheduled. We'll continue on, okay? Let yourself know you got about a minute and 40.
Okay, the next one, it's pretty easy to cover, but I want people to understand. We've got a lot of questions in the last couple months. We didn't know when your board meetings were. You changed it. Instead of the 2nd and the 4th, now you're going the 1st and the 3rd. Well, we do that for reasons. For instance, the California State Association of Conference happens. Several of us have to be gone. With that in mind, we change our meeting schedule. We do it at the beginning of the year. Right. It's posted online. Everyone can go online and look at it. And people constantly say in our board meetings, I didn't know where to look for it. Well, it's right in our county website. If you can't find it there, then call our board office. I mean, we're not trying to hide anything on this. It's one of those items.
I would think so. I think you do this report on TSPN. I think you do it on the radio as well. Pre-agenda and everything, right?
Yeah, but we're not trying to hide anything from anybody. Yeah. So, last item, at least before we get into our public hearings, is the Amador Water Agency, and this involves the McCalmy River and all of the processes. Mostly, Water Agency had to deal with their council, with their lobbyists that they hired. Our lobbyists all for the county worked under his contract, so there was no cost there, but there's significant amount of money, over $100,000 that the Water Agency expended on the issue of the McCalmy River Wild and Scenic designation. So this item will be Board of Supervisors. I think it's around $20,000 in that range. Do you want to cover that?
Okay, I think we're out of time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Richard, for coming by, and I hope you go to the meeting tomorrow if you're interested. Thanks for watching TSPN's News. See you again next time.